Family values, technology, local economies. These are the things that made America great, and they were all here before colonizers. Welcome aboard the American History Express. My name is Asia Harriet Hales, and I will be your conductor today as we talk about when America was great. 1000. We were great in the year 1000. But Asia, wasn't that 500 years before Columbus got here? Why, yes, friend. Yes, it was. Let me give you a snapshot of what life was like here back then. This area is called the Hopewell Interaction Suite, and they had a network of trade routes and family groups and small communities that connected across miles of coastline. They had beaded jewelry from as far away as Florida, as far north as upstate New York, and as far west as Kansas City. The Hopewell are best known for their beadwork and their carving, but I think they were the plug, and here's why. There's this site somewhere around there-ish, around the Great Lakes, that they called Pipe Mound, and they found over 200 stone smoking pipes at that location, all made by what they consider to be the Hopewell people. Some of them were even crafted into the shapes of animals, much like we do today. They also built a lunar observatory by what's now Newark, Ohio, but the smoking thing is just so much more fun, isn't it? This is a model of Cahokia Mound. This is in Illinois. It's huge. It's like 6 football fields large at the top. This was a city with around 20,000 residents. Again, 500 years before Columbus got here. Not only was it a city, it was also kind of like a festival site and an economic engine of the tribe. So people came there for ceremonial burials and special, ceremonies, weddings, that kind of stuff. But also to trade with each other and to cross-pollinate crops. I've been here. When you're standing on top of the thing, you understand really clearly that this really was a modern city. Like, this was a city. This one right here is an artist's rendition of Pueblo Bonito. This was an 800-room, multi-story mansion that was built between 826 and 1000 Common Era. Europe was literally in the Dark Ages, and the Pueblo were building condos. Not only that, they had like 200 miles of road connecting family groups and trade groups and opening a door for international trade with the people that live where we would now say is Mexico. Some of the Pueblo area people also had these churches. I mean, not really churches. They were called kivas, and they were religious structures, but they weren't churches as we know them. They were places for artistic and ceremonial healing and medicine. They also played this game called shinny, which eventually became ice hockey, and of course, lacrosse. And if you were to continue to travel south into Aztec land, you would see 40 different villages that made a mate paper, proving that yes, there was writing and there were written records and there were stories prior to European colonizers' arrival. When the Spanish conquistadors got there and they saw that the paper was being made out of something other than what they made their paper out of, they were like, nah, that's illegal because it's cutting into our pocket. So we don't use a mate anymore. And honestly, this is what's so dangerous and problematic about the pristine wilderness myth. Indigenous people were influencing the land in very specific, very intentional ways that colonizers completely dismissed, and it caused a lot of the disasters that you and I have had to deal with in our lifetimes. For example, indigenous people living in the Pacific Northwest participated in something called controlled burn. This meant they would take a section of the forest and burn it down on purpose, both to encourage new growth and to get rid of invasive species and to make it less likely that wildfires would get out of control. We don't do that anymore, so we've accumulated what's called a fire debt, and we're paying the bill right now in California. Controlled burns were also used in the plains to create good grazing land for buffalo. Colonizers got over here and they were like, ooh, look at this big open grassland. It must have just been like this by accident. Must have always been like this. No. Indigenous people shaped that land. They created those plains for a purpose. They had grasslands that people could graze on that stayed pollinated through activity. Americans got rid of the buffalo, destroyed the land, brought the Dust Bowl. So pre-contact, we're talking 10 to 18 million individuals, thousands of tribes, over 2,000 languages, one concept of nature as a relative. You don't steal from a relative, you don't exploit a relative, you don't treat a relative badly. That's family value. In the words of Indigenous researcher Kaiwika Winter, humans and nature can coexist and both can thrive.